In this video about Windows, I'm going to show you the very basics of Windows. First of all, I will start a program, Firefox. The most important thing is we are seeing a program running in a window. I can move the window a little bit by clicking and holding down my mouse here, and then I move it. When I release it, the Windows has moved. As you can see, the Windows does not cover up the full screen. Up here in the upper right corner, there are 3 buttons. Let's start with this one. As you can see, it will close. That's very simple. I'm not going to do that. The next one is interesting. It says maximize now. I click it. Now the Windows is running maximized, or most people call it full screen. And as we can see, this icon has changed to, and now it says restore down. It's actually showing 2 windows. I click it. The window goes back to the position and size it had before. I can resize the window. That means I can change the size and also the position of the window. Normally I do it from the very lower right corner. You can see my mouse changes when I move it here to a double arrow, and then I can drag and I release the mouse and the Windows has changed size and the position is kind of the same. Normally when I want to move a window to another position, I drag it by holding down here and I move the left corner, means this one, the left corner of the Windows, to the position where I want to be. And then I move my mouse pointer here. It's not that easy. And then I can, as you can see, I can move it around. And let's say I want to put it here. You can also resize a window by dragging here. And I go back, or down here. And I move it back. The most important thing is actually to minimize a window. We will look at that later. This button is for minimizing. I will click it. Apparently, the window is gone. But as we can see down here in the taskbar, this icon is still here. If I click here, normal click, it's back. The interesting thing is, when I repeatedly click here, I will minimize it and get it back on the desktop. Look, I click again, it's minimized, it's still running, I click, and it's back. This thing with maximizing and restoring can be done with a double click in the title bar. Now I double click here. The window is full screen, running in full screen. I double click here and it's back. I use this a lot because it's quite easy. Actually, you can do all these things by right clicking either in the title bar. You can see move, size, minimize and maximize. You can play around with it and you can close it. And this one can also be done with a right click. I will now open another program window, namely Notepad, which is a small editor. I'll write it down here in the search field. And we can see it pops up here, not Notepad++. That's not a part of Windows. But Notepad is a part of Windows. I start that. I have made a small file. And I say open, and I have called it Windows Text. I double click it and it opens. Now I can just see Firefox running in the background. I move this a little bit. Now we have 2 windows and none of them is running in full screen. If I want to change and look at Firefox, I can click here. Firefox is now in the foreground and is active. Look at the blue title bar. I have made these colors that the active Windows has a blue title bar and the inactive Windows have a purple. If I click over here in Notepad, this window is active and in the foreground. Now let's see something. Now I move this. If I click here, I cannot see Firefox anymore. I have seen a lot of beginners closing one program. In this case, they click up here. I don't do it. And then they can see the other program. We have just learned that you can minimize a window by clicking down here. So if I click here on Notepad, it will be minimized and I can see Firefox, and it has even become active and in the foreground. If I click here on Notepad, it will go back. If I click here, what will happen? Firefox will become active and move in the foreground. If I click here, Notepad is active and in the foreground. This is the way to change between two running programs, no matter how much of the desktop they are covering. Click down here. This icon is for my software making this video. Another story is, let's see if one of the programs is running in full screen. I will now double click Firefox up here. Now Firefox is running in full screen. I click here on Notepad, and Notepad is in the foreground. I can move it if I want. I can resize it. Okay. Let's say this is running also in full screen. I'll double click here. And I can still just click down here and then change. This is a way to shift between programs. Click down here. Let's say I want to close this program. If I have many programs running down here, I can show you. Let's say I'm running Internet Explorer. Now here comes another icon. Every time you have a new program running, there will be an icon down here in the taskbar. Let's see, ImageBurn, it doesn't matter. I just open some programs. You see, now I have 5 programs running. I want to close this. I could, of course, click here. It's a long way to move my mouse. I can right click here and say close window. It closes. I can do the same here. Now I've closed all my programs except for my video software, Camtasia. I hope you learned something about the basics of Windows.